It takes a village to raise a child. Welcome to another episode. It's another Monday. I hope you guys are good. I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying blessed. It's me again, Chak the Sound Sangoma in the Village Show. This is episode 11. Like always, we got a jam-packed show for you guys. Today's one of those, you know what I mean? From here, we just go into the top. You already know what it is, man. So today on the show, able to parent. But I do believe that there's some parents nowadays who are so far from this generation that they don't actually understand what's going on right now. The teacher was teaching me. I had to believe everything the teacher that was teaching me because there was no any other place where I can actually go and find the information. So these people were actually being paid to give us information. Product fulfills the products and actually ship it to the customer. So basically it means that you're starting a store without having inventory. And the villages, we really appreciate you, DJ Cleo. I take it off my head, and I hope and I know for today. Without any further ado, without me wasting your time, on our video appreciation, like I said today, if you haven't, please make sure that you go and watch the previous episode. Like I said, we're on episode 11. We have some very, very nice topic and some videos that we have appreciated so far. So today we're going to be appreciating Mr. F3 Dipapa with a music video called Duma Mfundisi. You know what I mean? So for me, this just resonates with me and just talks to me, you know what I mean, on another level. Let me not even waste time. Let me just play the music video and then we're going to talk a little bit about it.
Lana waibeka, waisusa lena waiyeka, waigijimisa waitenga, waijulungisa waihleka, usoswati aduma mfundisi, aduma matumane, aduma mfundisi, aduma mfundisi, aduma mfundisi, aduma matumane, aduma mfundisi, waithatha lana waibeka, waisusa lena waiyeka, waigijimisa waitenga, waijulungisa waihleka, usoswati aduma mfundisi, aduma matumane, aduma mfundisi, aduma mfundisi, aduma mfundisi, aduma matumane, aduma mfundisi, Bigi bigi ay ay. Hey ay 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 ay. Ay wena. Abanaba ke ba hao. Ba re tuma matumane sponisane. Yabona la is believers. When I get a matumane kumelo hambe. Check me na, check coast. Agirudumile khuduma that stove. Bafana bas menaza bayingo. Bakaikubula mere na sidithu. Emana la baka kutumala, emena. Emana la baka kutumale, wendo. Emana la baka kutumala, emena. Emana la baka kutumale, wendo. Ai tina sisumalo, ai tina putunga chaga. Ai tina sisumalo, ai tina putunga chaga. Ai tata lana waibeka, waisusa lena waiyeka, waigijimisa waitenga, waijulungisa waihleka, usoswati aduma mfundisi, aduma matumane, aduma mfundisi, aduma mfundisi, aduma mfundisi, aduma matumane, aduma mfundisi, waithatha lana waibeka, waisusa lena waiyeka, waigijimisa waitenga, waijulungisa waihleka, usoswati aduma mfundisi, aduma matumane, aduma mfundisi, aduma mfundisi, aduma mfundisi, aduma matumane, aduma mfundisi, mfundisi atuma matumane mfundisi imana lavaka kutuma la imana lavaka kutuma le imana lavaka kutuma la imana lavaka kutuma le hayi thina sisungalolo hayi thina bhutunga chaza hayi thina sisungalolo hayi thina bhutunga chaza.
That's F3 Dipapa right there, dude. Mfundisi, beautiful music video, man. I love the vibe of the music video. I like it, speaks to me, man. It reminds me of those Kwaito days, you know what I mean, in December, when I used to tell my mom to buy me some Chuck Taylors because I want to go and dance. Yeah, just believe it, I was a dancer when I was young. You check what I mean. I love attention, you know what I mean. That's my shit. So on the music appreciation, like I said, F3 Dipapa, go ahead and make sure that you engage with his music. He makes very, very dope music. I think he has an EP out. He has a video that I wish I could play for you guys. Maybe I should play it on the next episode. Actually, yeah, I'll probably do that on the next episode. A short video where he's telling his story about his sound, finding his sound. He calls it the brown dash sound, which is kind of like the Kwaito sound, and fusing it with the most popular music genre we have right now in South Africa or in the world, Amapiano. So that again is F3 Dipapa. Make sure that you go and engage with his music. You're gonna find more dope shit right there. As we carry on with the show, I have another beautiful song by BeatsByHand. BeatsByHand is a house producer, house DJ. BeatsByHand released an EP, I think on the 1st of September. And there's a song in there that I fell in love with. The song is called I'm Jazz. Let me not even speak a lot about the song. Let me just give you this dope tune. That right there is I Am Jazz by Beats by Hand from Stage True Sounds. Very, this is one of those songs that, just reminds me of the good times, December time, just chilling at home with my homies on the Saturday afternoon, contemplating where we're gonna go out and actually have fun. This is one of those songs. Beats by Hand, I Am Jazz. Go make sure that you engage with this content, make sure that you engage with this music. Again, stay blessed, stay True Sounds. Thank you very much for all of the dope sounds that you guys have been giving. Hope you guys are still with me. If you're still watching, thank you again for being here. Thank you again for engaging with the content. Thank you for subscribing to the page. We really appreciate it. On the topic of the week, this week, we're going to be talking about something that a lot of people are talking about. This is a conversation that's happening in household. These are conversations that are happening at barbershops, at saloons, at spas, wherever there's people conglomerating, there is this conversation, even if it's not engaging both parties, but there is this conversation. The conversation is the youth versus the elder, or the new generation versus the old generation. Maybe we should start by defining what both of those are. What is the old generation and what is the younger generation? I feel like, we have a very, very pandemic of trying to always separate things or always putting things in the extreme. But it is what it is. It's human nature. So for me, the new generation, some people call it Chama 2000, some people call it Generation Z. These are people who were born in this era, in the third, fourth industrial revolution, the age of technology, the information age, the guys who grew up, knowing most of the things, but not really knowing anything because they can just access the information. And the elder is probably generation, I would say probably, 99 going down, even if there is some other people from that generation who resonates, very well with the younger generation than they do with the elder generation, but that's what we kind of like defining there. So you can kind of like look at it as a parent and a kid, an older brother and a younger brother kind of like conversation. So what do I think, why the conversation is happening? I think the conversation is happening because times are changing. Times will always change, but I feel like in a long time in the history of humankind, this is another time where there was a very, very drastic change in civilization. Certain things were changing. Globalization were happening. People could communicate. The age of information, the WWA era, you could just type and actually go on a website and find information. You can talk to people across, continents and countries by just sitting at your home through a device like this. So the generation before didn't really have all of this. So this is new things where the new generation is actually growing up with it. So how do you actually parent, or how do you actually be a kid to a parent who is from the different generation and you are in this generation and you have to meet? It's very, very confusing, and it's very, how can I say it? Very confusing is the best way to say it, because, as a parent, you have to understand what the kid is going through for you to be able to guide them and be able to parent. But I do believe that there's some parents nowadays who are so far from this generation that they don't actually understand what's going on right now, how our kids growing up. If I give you an example, I'm kind of like the middle child, where I grew up, my very, very early ages was before kind of like the revolution or the evolution, and my teenage, kind of like getting to my youth years, was through the age, like the very beginning stage. And right now I'm transitioning to an adult in kind of like the smack bang, like the biggest change. So there's certain things that I understand from both sides and certain things that I don't understand from both sides. So first of all, from the younger generation, it's just not understanding certain values or certain things that the older generation has created because that's how they survived or that's how they grew up. Some of the things can be called tradition or culture. Culture is something that's getting lost. Not a lot of elders are actually teaching culture. And the reason why culture is getting lost or culture is being rewritten is because now not a lot of people want to feel, not part of anything. Not a lot of people want to be separated. People want to be one as we're globalizing. So people are trying to get rid of all of these boundaries that make you, you are this, you are Venda, you do this, you are Tsonga, you do this. Back in the day, it was actually not even easy to find another, for example, Tsonga person or Pedi person marrying a Xhosa person or a Sotho person. Nowadays, it's normal to find that, and we don't even see a difference in that, and we appreciate that, and we we celebrate that, but that comes with some of the cultures or some of the traditional barriers having to be stepped beyond for us to be able to accommodate this new norm, because again, it's just a new norm. So for young kids, a lot of things is just questioning because of trying to understand, but the questioning kind of like, to a parent looks like them just wanting to disrespect or saying whatever they were doing was not right. I'm not saying this is the best time. At the same time, I'm not saying this is the worst time. This is probably the best time for humanity to be on earth. And 10 years from now will be the best time because we're always bettering from what we are, from technology, from medicine to everything. Like kids nowadays, grow up without having to be, vaccinated for certain things because those diseases have been eliminated. When I went to school in a village where we were studying subjects that didn't really have nothing to do with us being developed as human beings. We were just taken to school. We didn't understand what computers were. I don't even think our teachers could actually even operate computers. But nowadays, to actually find a kid who can use a computer is rare. So if I give you an example, let's say, for example, when I was in class and the teacher was teaching me, I had to believe everything the teacher that was teaching me because there was no any other place where I can actually go and find the information. So these people were actually being paid to give us information, to go and read books that probably we can't access, study, and come and actually teach us those things, Of course, it was valuable for that time, but with time changing, that model had to stop, which is what is happening right now even in schools. If you are at school and you're sitting at school right now and your teacher is explaining a math problem and he's saying, this is the formula, this is how you do it, I feel like for each and every Generation Z student or school kid, it will be not even something that they have to think about to actually go to their phone and actually Google how to do that. Of course, you're probably going to say, yeah, most schools don't actually allow phones because kids will be sitting at school and doing something else. These things can be controlled. I think sometimes the lack of understanding how this technology works is why we keep on trying to blame it. The technology is not the problem. The technology is actually the solution for a lot of our problems. It's just that we don't understand it fully. We don't know how to protect ourselves from it and to protect it from us. So we end up just abusing it. So for me, a perfect scenario would be like if my kid is at school and the teacher is teaching, he should be able to sit in front of his laptop, iPad, iPhone, whatever it is, and search the same topic the teacher is talking about and validate it, because we have learned that now with information that's being free, there's different theories for us to get to the same thing. We can be able to take another approach, and we can't only just be stuck with this one teacher, because sometimes if the teacher is not making sense, you fail as a student, but the student get blamed, but the teacher is actually failing to teach. You check what I mean, or to explain. I might find somebody on YouTube, for example, who's explaining the problem better. So when they express that, the youth, to the elders, it feels like they're disrespecting the people. When they say that, I can just go on Google and find it, you will hear, you guys grew up in Google. When we were younger, we didn't have Google, we have to. But you have to embrace that they don't have to go through that. That's a good thing. But on the other side, I do understand too, because of thinking that you have the information, because of thinking that you can access the information, that fools you into thinking that know is something, so we're going to get into a little bit of this, English language. First of all, if you get information and you just retain the information in your head, that information you don't know, it's just information. A lot of people have information in their head, but they don't know that information. They don't even know what they're talking about. Once you turn the information into knowledge, when you turn the information into knowledge through the process of actually learning and researching and asking questions, that's when you know. That's why they call it knowledge. A lot of our generation or the younger generation, they're not going through the process of learning and knowing because they can just access somebody. They can just access YouTube. They can just access Google in the moment of time. So it becomes very end. Once you go there, you find information that has been filtered so much that you don't actually understand the groundwork. This is what the older generation is trying to reiterate when it's talking to the younger generation. But there's a gap in understanding what each other is saying. The younger generation is all about, if it's simple, why do we make it difficult? If I can sit at home and actually just buy a meal from Uber Eats, why, should I actually go to the store? You know, the young guys are like, yeah, we used to be outside, we used to walk, we used to do this, but they don't need to. I don't think if you guys had that in the time you were living, you would do that too. I don't think if you guys had iPads when when you were going to school and you were doing your Bible study on your iPads at school and your geography at school on iPads, you would be complaining about it. It's just that you didn't have, so you see a difference. You know what I mean? People will always say, they're growing up different than we growing. Of course, they have to grow up differently because times are changing, things are changing. You know what I mean? They're experiencing new things. You know, they go into universities and being faced with new problems that, because this generation is the first generation to experience the problems they're experiencing. The older generation, when you go to university, there was nothing to worry about how you look on social media, how many followers you have on social media. How do you look actually as as much as people used to take care of themselves and look, the only eyes that used to see you most of the time were the eyes that are around you or physically around you. Now you have eyes outside of everything because we have screens, we're talking to people through our phones. You know, there's so many things that we're doing, we're living our life, our friendship, we follow our friends through our social media. So now there's a bigger audience, if I have to say, or a fight for attention. So when a student goes to university and you're giving them advice of how you went to university in 1990, it doesn't translate because they're being faced with different problems. Things are accessible right now. They don't have to be scared of certain things as much as they have to be scared of certain things. They're living in an age where they can talk to somebody from America and they can get a compliment. They're talking to, somebody, in Cape Town that they have never met and they could change their life. They could actually show their art on social media and they could just blow up like that and start making money. It wasn't that easy for people back in the day. So that's why a lot of elders will say, you guys got it easy or you guys don't understand, how hard we had to work. We appreciate the elders for working so hard because that's why we're here. That's why we can be able to do things like this. My dad and my mom had to go through what they go through, to educate me to get to a point where I can be able to do this video. So there is a link and we need each other. For us to actually take, the culture or to take the generation to the next level, we need to be handed over from people who took it to the next level too. You check what I mean? And I believe generation after generation, if I had to speak to somebody from the 60s, he will probably say that the kids from the 70s were rowdy. If I have to talk about the 70s and he was talking about the kids from the 80s, there's probably something they're going to say. So this translates in a lot of hemispheres. And I want to talk about something that's very, very sensitive. And I'm talking about this because I had an opportunity to be called by a parent who wanted me to advise their kid. So their kid sat down with their parent and the kid, again, the conversation that probably happens in a lot of households. What do you actually want to do with your life? The kid is in grade 11. What do you want to do with your life? And then the kid said, I want to be a content creator. He wants to be able to make things like movies, make things like this, actually a creative, just content, create content. You check what I mean? So the parents didn't even know what a creative, they didn't even know what a content creator is. So that's why they called me, asked me, what is this thing called content creator? And I had to explain to them, this is what happens. This is the jobs. This is you actually working for yourself. As soon as I started saying he's going to be making his own time, he needs to have discipline, and actually to them it felt like, oh, wait, you're telling me that he can't find a job, he has to work for himself? I'm like, yeah, that's what the new generation is going through. The new generation is all about independence. It's all about doing something for yourself. Even if you look at a lot of new generation kids who are actually going and working, they're actually doing something else on the side. You find that they're working, but they pushing their fashion because of their passion. They're working and they're a musician at the part-time. They're working and they're a model. They're making money from Instagram. They're working because they always want to express themselves freely, especially when it comes to their passions. So again, it was kind of like frightening for them to hear their kid saying he doesn't want to work, because for them, traditionally, you have to go to school, finish school, go get a qualification and get a job. But he was saying, no, straight out of grade 12, I just want to create content, I will buy. This is another thing that actually scared them. He said to them he's going to go and buy online courses to learn how to create content. The first thing they said was, do you get a certificate for that? And I kind of like, rub them a little bit in a different manner, because I asked them a question, what does the certificate validate? Like, it validates that he knows the information. I'm like, that's the problem. He could be sitting right now in his room learning a skill every day, which is content creating, how to shoot, how to speak in front of people, how to create content, how to come up with skits. That's the skill. The certificate is just somebody saying that we validate that he can retain the information. it doesn't guarantee that he can do what he's doing. We have to learn that. So I had to kind of like bring them together to understand, and for him to understand that his parents wanting that is them saying that you need to know what you're doing. Their way of knowing what you're doing is actually going to a school and actually studying. They don't understand this free information. They don't understand all of this information that's given. Again, there is wrong information, there's good information. You need to know how to actually, I feel like at schools we need to be taught that. That's the side effect of actually the young generation, is the fact that they don't know which information is right and wrong, and it's easy for you to kind of like sway them in different directions, especially if you talk about money. You check what I mean? Because we're living in a generation that we're chasing money a lot. So what's the solution? So the solution for me is basically we need to talk. We need to sit down and understand each other. We need to have free conversation. We need to have conversations like this. We need to spark our brain. And I like the fact that it's happening on a social media level, which means parents and kids can actually absorb in their hustle to understand that your kid is going to be probably exposed to things that you don't want them to be exposed to because they have a cell phone. And to be honest, they probably know the cell phone more than you. In some cases, I know my mom. My mom is going to be taking care of my kids as a grandma. But I can tell you now, my kids are going to know the phone more than my mom. My kids are going to know the laptop more than my mom. So that creates a different kind of like aspect of how my mom can actually monitor my kids. So I have to think about that because there's a generational gap. You know, my kids are going to know more technology than my grandmother who's going to be raising my kids. So how is she going to be raising my kids? You check what I mean. Who are they talking to? What time are they talking to? You know, they don't have to sneak out of the house now. You check what I mean. They can just bring somebody in the house. They can talk. They can send each other all of these things that are, you know, floating on the internet. So we need to find new ways of parenting, and new parents needs to be learning and actually kind of like telling, this is the new way to parent. This is how to deal with your kids. Kids nowadays understand a lot of things. Like when I was growing up, I didn't know what depression was. I didn't know what was anxiety. For me, if somebody was bullying me, the one thing that I would be told was like, yo, you dare to go to school. Don't care about them. But I'm being bullied. You know what I mean? And it's emotionally hurting me, which turned me into a bully because the only way to defend myself was to show that I can bully somebody else, which means the bullies were like, oh, okay, cool. Don't bully him because he's going to beat me up. Which turned me into a bad person where if I had a conversation or I understood that even the kids who are bullying me are dealing with psychological issues, that problem could have been different. If I had to go back, would I want to do it differently? Nah, I will go through the same thing because it taught me to understand what goes on in the school. So when I take my kids, I'm already going to be teaching them. There's going to be kids like this. You know, there's going to be kids who have more than what you have. You know, and who's going to make sure that you see that they have. And you know, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with, you know, a lot of these peer pressures and stuff like that, which I think a lot of kids nowadays don't get to sit down and talk about it because they're living in a very, very big world. You know what I mean? They're getting bullied on social media where everybody's watching. So it's very, you know, once you're out there and you're famous for a mistake that you did when you're 16 and it's going to haunt you until you're 32, it becomes a problem because everything is out there with the people. So we need to find, you know, better ways for us to be raising our kids and our younger brothers and our nieces. Instead of just trying to say, yo, they're growing up different, they're stubborn, they're trying to understand too. And if we don't understand, you know, we can't make them understand. And the only way we can understand is understanding their situation, the time they're growing up in, because us too, we're figuring it out. We're understanding, you know, the fact that we can go to talk to a computer in a bank without talking to a person and get our money. You check what I mean? Right. So like I said, I just feel like this needs to be a very open conversation and an honest conversation. When we challenge tradition, when we challenge culture, is because some of the things don't really make sense. We're not trying to fight it. We're trying to get answers too. We're trying to spark, you know, the conversation like, yo, we don't understand. What is lobola? You know what I mean? You guys can't just be saying like, yo, this is something that we've been doing for a long time. You can't be questioning things like this is tradition. Yo, times are changing. What is the purpose of lobola? Why am I actually paying lobola? We're not saying it's wrong. We're not saying it's bad, but we just don't want to do it without understanding it. You check what I mean? Because again, there's been things that we have seen that are not good that came from this is what it is. This is culture. So when the young guys ask this question, it's because we're not trying to disrespect. It's because we're trying to learn why it was like that. And if you guys don't know, which means there was a break in generation of teaching, you know what I mean, of why we're still doing these things this way, because certain things don't make sense in the generation that we're living in. Each other things are different. You check what I mean. We're living in a monetary world where you need money for you to be able to survive. You check what I mean. You need certain things and certain values and some things are changing. You know what I mean? I can grow up, you know what I mean, stay in Doridori and decide I'm gonna go and live in the States. The values there are different. You know, the morals there are different. I can't just go there and expect that everybody's gonna be like me, because again, we have realized that there's more different people in the world. But I feel like when it comes to the elder and the youth, it's all about just sitting down and understanding each other and understanding that we all play a part. It's not the youth that only play the part. It's not the elders that only play a part. It's not a competition. You know what I mean? It's working together and understanding that the transfer of generation to the next generation is done in a learning way and accepting the mistakes and making sure that we move forward, and so that the next generation doesn't make the same mistakes that we make from the past generation. And it's all about the conversation. That's what I think about that, you know, that conversation about the elder versus the youth. You know, as we carry on with the show, on What's the Hustle today, we're going to be talking about something that I am currently experimenting with. I have experimented with this in the past, but because of COVID, I had to stop a little bit because it requires a lot of like shipping and stuff like that. So the, you know, hustle, what's the hustle of the week is basically drop shipping. Drop shipping is a process of you actually selling products from a supplier. And then the supplier, you list the product either on your website or an app, and then if somebody does buy the product, the wholesaler or the person who's supplying with the product fulfills the products and actually ship it to the customer. You know, so basically it means that you starting a store without having inventory. You know, using somebody inventory, you don't have to hold inventory. This was a booming in a lot of countries, and I feel like in South Africa it's about to take over. It's basically what Take a Lot is like. But with Take a Lot, it's not really drop shipping, because you have to have stock. And whenever you fulfill, Take a Lot will just come and actually take the stock from your warehouse and actually sell there. We'll talk about how to sell on TikTok. But basically what drop shipping is, again, is the ability for you to find products from different kind of like suppliers and actually listing them and actually selling them, right? So how it works is, let's say, for example, you want to sell coffee mugs or you want to sell cups. Let's say, for example, you want to sell these cups, right? So you go online and find somebody who supplies this, and find a dropshipper, somebody who's going to fulfill. So let's say, for example, they're selling the cup for 2 Rand, and you say you're going to sell the cup for 10 Rand, and there's going to be shipping and tax involved with it. So you list these cups on your website. You don't have to have the cups. You list the cup and you say the cup costs 10 Rand. The next guy goes to your website, clicks and says he wants a cup. As soon as he clicks, a message is sent to the fulfiller, the wholesaler who has the cup, that there's been 6 orders of this cup needed by a person in this country and this country. And that person pays, you get your card, the other card actually goes to the fulfillment. They fulfill, they send it to your customer. You get a confirmation whenever your customer has received the product, which means you never hold anything on stock. Dropshipping is something that boomed a lot in, you know, like in your 2018, 2017, going into COVID, to a point where during COVID, the people who were already establishing made a lot of money, because remember, a lot of people were not going a lot of places. So if you had dropshipping, especially local dropshipping, where most of your resellers or most of your wholesalers are local, you were in a good, you know, hand. But if your dropshipping was coming from countries like China, Russia, America, whatever it is, it was kind of like hindered because there was no shipping going around. That's why I had to stop my experimentation. So my first experimentation was t-shirts. So for example, if you look at this t-shirt, you know, Combat is a t-shirt that I printed myself. So I experimented with dropshipping. So what it does, so I actually created my own logo. I use programs like Photoshop and Canva for that. And then I go to this website called Printful. Printful is what we call print on demand. So print on demand, you go to Printful, I create a mock-up, I create a design, I put it on a shirt, they create mock-ups. You see how when you go through the website and they're selling clothes, you see a model, they take those pictures. Printful does that for you by using mock-ups that they already have, by just putting your design on the model that they already have. And now you can list that to your website. So I was using Shopify. I was paying close to like, I think 400 and something for Shopify a month to actually create a online store, which is e-commerce, which is another episode. In the next episode, I'll be talking about how to create an e-commerce store. So make sure that you watch the next episode. So basically what I did was actually go and list these t-shirts there. And so that whenever somebody buys a t-shirt, message is sent to Printful. Printful prints the t-shirt, packages the t-shirt. I tell them how I wanted them to package. I'll tell them what I want on the tag, what quality of the t-shirt I want, what is the pricing, what is their cut. They fulfill it and actually ship it to the person who actually bought the shirt. You know what I mean? So a lot of people will be like, probably, yo, who does the quality control? Again, the quality control is done by you. First thing that you have to do is order some samples, and a lot of this website will actually give you a discount on ordering samples so that you can actually see the quality of whatever you're going to be giving to your fan. So what I did is actually, again, just for a month, actually use my budget and actually bought some samples, and then those samples were shipped to me, and it was something that I knew I wanted to wear, and I will actually use it for marketing purposes, take pictures, give to some of my friends, get different sizes to give to some of my influencers and my friends so that they can start kind of like doing the marketing. So Printful and Printify are the two that I would say for me, if you want to do print on demand, are the best one. Etsy has print on demand too. It's another platform. Again, if you want me just to talk about this platform, I can, on the next video, I'll talk about which platform and how to actually get on this platform. But again, I think this in our videos. I will just probably link to other people's videos. So again, that's how I sell my t-shirt. We're looking into doing a lot of products to drop ship and actually just have our online store. We don't have to have a brick and mortar as it is for right now. We don't have to hold stock. As long as we have our supplier and we know that we have our fulfillment and work on our customer base, we can be able to drop ship whatever we want. So basically, that's what drop shipping is, which is a cool business. Again, very, very nice entry point. With a budget of like 2,000, you can kind of like start doing business and start selling and making, a lot of money, as long as you understand your production. You have, the biggest thing about drop shipping or any other online thing is you need to know your marketing and actually, your advertisement. Need to know your market, basically. So a lot of people don't really do that, and we just open the store, but nobody's coming to the store. So you need to make sure that you spend most of your efforts in understanding how to market, how to retain customers, how to use social media to make people buy. TikTok is kind of like a big thing right now when it comes to that, which is something that I'm learning, which I will talk about in the next episode. Cool. The superhero. Today I have one of my favorite superheroes, Mr. Cleo Power. For those who don't know, this is DJ Cleo. DJ Cleo is a producer, DJ from South Africa, musician, all-round musician. DJ Cleo has been making music, I believe, probably 20 plus years in the industry. He owns Wheel of Steel Productions, and he has this series of albums called Escalade. We grew up on those. DJ Cleo in behind the scenes has produced for a lot of artists that people probably don't even know. To name a few famous artists, we can talk about Brown Dash, we can talk about Bricks, we can talk about Mzeke Zeke, we can talk about Arthur, we can throw in, Mojuk Jub, we can throw in, I believe most of the people who were in the industry in the 2000s, DJ Cleo had something to do with this. DJ Cleo for probably 7 to 6 years, if I'm not mistaken, back to back, was the #1 song in South Africa every December. This was the song where, in South Africa, when we say the song that breaks the year, song that plays at 12 o'clock at night, on the 31st of December or the 1st of January. That was DJ Cleo for 6 years, giving us hits. And without us actually counting the hits he made for other people, but just the hits that he made as DJ Cleo, from deep house, to dance music, to now even making my piano and experimenting. DJ Cleo is a multi-talented person. He does, he's part of a biker gang. He's a goalkeeper. They check what I mean. He does, very good things for charity. And we just wanted to appreciate him as a Kasi hero, as one of the guys from the early age, for showing us that it's possible for people like us to actually make it in the industry and still stay true and still, respect themselves and still be able to, in these years, to stay relevant and still be able to do great things. So from me and the villages, we really appreciate you, DJ Cleo. I take off my hat, and I hope and I know one day I'm going to meet you and just have a conversation with you, so I can tell you straight how appreciative I am and how much you played a role in me being the person I am and being the sound engineer or audio engineer and the producer as I am today. All right, as we're nearing the end of the show, today we have a trailer. This is a funny trailer. These two guys, I grew up watching these two guys, if you don't know these two guys, you might be, first of all, too young, or I don't know, I just don't know, if you don't know Aki and Popo, I don't know what, I don't even know how to explain it. I think you can now on YouTube find some things from Aki and Popo, but I I will say my introduction to what Nigerian culture is and how Nigerians live was Aki and Popo, to a point where even now my idea of Nigeria, even though nowadays there's a lot of things coming out, which is good things coming out of there. You know what I mean? It's Aki and Popo, and I felt like I needed to appreciate this series right here because of what it did and what how it took Africa by storm. You couldn't go to Joburg and not find a DVD by Aki and Popo. Every TV that you'll find in a little store was probably playing Aki and Popo, and they inspired a lot of people even here in South Africa to start doing those movies that we used to like, them hood movies that we like a lot, that we just watch the whole day, CD after CD, and just laughing all the way. My mom used to love it, everybody used to love it. Again, Popo is one of those guys. Again, just taking my hat off, just respect before I even play the trailer. It's called Aki and Popo, now streaming on Netflix. Let's just watch this right here.
Are these the hopefuls?
Yes, my lord.
Hey, Lord, child, Lord,
Jesus.
hey, child, hey, please, we don't want to do again.
If I can, it was a mistake.
Yes,
Believe yourselves. Papa no big.
do begin. Don't want to do again.
In fact, we want to go back.
Yes,
go,
sir.
Go back
Yes,
to the
sir.
shop.
Please.
Hey. Sit.
Hey, Chibuka, no.
Chineke na taburo bia.
Thought you said they were ready.
Yes, my lord. They are. Aki. Popo. Kenemun. Kata no big ebutike.
Don't begin.
Oh yeah, but again,
He's lying. We're not ready.
Both of you have desecrated this shrine.
Hey,
You will pay for it.
hey.
we can be one way.
The two of you will swear an oath of silence.
Hey.
Repeat after me. My eyes have seen.
My eyes have seen.
My ears have heard.
My ears have heard.
What my lips may not speak.
What my lips may not speak.
And if my lips may speak it,
And if my lips may speak it.
you will die.
Oh, Jesus! Oh God! Oh God!
Chai.
Chino.
Oh God!
Repeat.
You will die.
No. Both of you. Repeat. I will die.
Chai.
I will die.
Come.
Hey!
Like I said, this is something that we grew up on. Aki and Popo, very, very funny. I have utmost respect for these two men right here for what they did, for the film industry in Africa as a whole. To see them go to heights like this and still, hold that Aki and Popo. I do believe that Aki and Popo deserves, to be redone with the new technology, with the new ability to put things on Netflix, no longer on the DVD age. I do believe that they deserve this platform, and that's why I played that. Again, you can go stream it on Netflix. Shout out to Netflix. Guys, sometimes, some of this, places, like for example, I think the last episode, I would like to apologize. We had a trailer from DSTV. I think I forgot even the trailer. We were hit with a copyright strike, even if we were sending the trailer, to a point where they wanted our video to be blocked, not to be seen, not even the parts where the videos are not. So we had to cut it out. But Netflix doesn't do that as much as we do get a copyright claim. It's just, we're using it to educate and actually to show and to advertise on Netflix. So shout out to Netflix, shout out to Showmax for that. I don't know what's the problem with the other people and stuff like that, but it is what it is. You check what I mean. We just want to appreciate and you know, we're trying not to use this in a malicious way. You're just trying to appreciate and then make sure that people see the things. But that's the show for us today. You know what I mean? I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you're having a good, week. You know what I mean? Check me out on the next episode, on episode 12. If you haven't caught up, make sure that you go and actually watch most of our episodes. It's a lot of content on our page. Please make sure that you go and engage with all of the content on our page. Without you, we are nothing. Please make sure that you share, make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you comment, make sure you press the notification bell, make sure that you stay tuned with whatever we're going to be dropping on our page. This is Sitangani Production. I am Chuck the Sound Sangoma. This is the Village Show. This is episode 11. And
it takes
a
village
out.
to raise a child. Ngwana sari rufera ngozwini.